Welcome to the Broadband interview, hosted by DJ Intranet.
Okay, and welcome to the interview, listeners. You just heard Ultimate 2 by our guest, Chicago rapper Jay Ultimate. Their new album, Chicagoan, is dropping tomorrow as we record this. It should be available to stream by the time that you're hearing this. So very excited, obviously, for you to be dropping that. First question for you before we get into details about the album process. How would you describe your music in general?
So for my music, I really like to combine a positive message with kind of like an upbeat, fast, and energetic flow. That's always been something I've been striving for. So like each time I make a song, it's like, how can I convey a positive message while keeping it, really pleasing to the ear and making it really like sonically well. So with each song, I try to address, kind of like an issue I see in the world, whether it be like depression, whether it be like crime and stuff like that. I'm just always just trying to be a positive influence for the people around me.
That's really interesting how you sort of like the balance between being conscious but also being something uplifting that people really want to listen to. Wow. What are you most proud of on the album that you've done?
I think for me, the most proud of thing for the album would have to be the final track, which is called Chicagoan. And it's featuring one of my friends that I got to know kind of recently. And she's a very talented singer. She did really well. And for me, that was like the first time I really reached out to someone close to me and kind of asked them a favor for like my music thing. I'm like, you have a great voice. I would really be pleased to have you on this song. And they just absolutely killed it. And I'm really proud of how that song came together because when you guys listen to it, it really shows like everything comes full circle around the whole album. Like it really envelopes onto that point. And at the end, I say, I love myself. I don't really care too much about a critic, just kind of reasserting that what I'm doing is I'm really confident with. And I know that where I'm going, I'm going to continue to pursue what I'm doing.
We love to see it. So going off of that, is there like an arc that listeners are gonna hear throughout the album from beginning to end?
I think from the beginning to the album, you'll kind of hear me go through the process of accepting the world around me. Kind of like you'll hear the how Chicago being born and raised there has kind of developed me as a human. You'll see my interest. You'll see my subject of rapping and stuff like that. And towards the end of the song, towards the end of the album, it closes out almost to the point where it's like, okay, I've been through all these events. This is what made me, and this is how I'm going to continue and go on from there.
We love an album with like a theme. We really do love to see it. In an Instagram post, you mentioned that it took 2 years to really finish the album to get it to where you're proud to release it. What
Yes.
are some things that you really discovered and learned over that time?
For me, a big focus was on mixing because prior to this, I didn't really know a lot of knowledge about mixing and trying to get, all my audio levels to as high as they could be, but without peaking and without sounding unpleasant to the ear. So for a lot of the time was spent actually mixing the tracks because these tracks I had recorded for about maybe like a year and a half. Some of them I recorded a little bit more recently, but all these tracks, I wanted to make sure they sounded great and like all the instrumentals were mixed in properly, that my voice was used properly, that when I do a little bit of singing on it, that I was on key. It's just learning all these little just tips and things. And I think the small details will really show in the album.
That's really it's really cool to hear that you're so involved in the process of creating it. So how much did you end up doing for the album? Because I'm assuming you recorded it, you
Yes.
wrote the songs, you mixed it. Did you
Mhm.
basically do everything besides like the features?
So I did almost everything. Some of the beats, like you'll see credits to producer Mersa, which is someone who's helped me with like sound packs and sample packs and everything like that. But when it comes to the artwork, the mixing, the lyrics, everything was done by me.
Wow, really a multifaceted artist out here. We
Yeah.
love to see it. All right, let's get into some of the more fun questions. First up, what is your favorite movie and why?
My favorite movie is Back to the Future. I just love all the three Back to the Futures. The first one is definitely my favorite. It really got me inspired into kind of like sci-fi and that. And I always thought it was so cool how, you know, they kind of combine modern culture, or at least with when it was released in the 80s, with kind of like, you know, sci-fi from back to the 1950s and that. And for me, that was just a great movie. It really got me into films.
That's definitely one of my favorites as well. Next up, your first album is out. Must be really rewarding. What is your dream collaboration, and why?
I would love to work with a Kendrick Lamar, because without Kendrick Lamar, I wouldn't be into music. When I first like listened to Good Kid, Mad City, I remember I was just so compelled, so inspired by his story and how he was able to come out of such a like a deep and dark a place, or like a place where, you know, they don't expect you to succeed. And that kind of drive, that motivation kind of rubbed off on me, and it really inspired me to make the music that I make today.
That kind of goes into our next question. What album changed your life and why? I'm assuming it was that one.
Yeah, it was definitely Good Kid, Mad City. That was the first like really rap record that really had a major effect on me and made me think I want to do this as well.
I do remember summer it came out. I feel like the album just had a vibe that like you
Exactly.
just felt. Definitely a favorite of mine. And sort of thinking back through your whole career as a rapper so far. Again, your first album just dropped. You spent 2 years trying to get it to be, the best that it could be. What are the biggest lessons that you give the old you when you were starting out?
Mhm. If I could talk to the old me, I would say do not try to rush the process. I feel like a lot of people, and especially I know, I would try to be like, okay, I need to make this perfect right now. It needs to be this way, this way. And when you kind of force it out of you, everyone can hear it. It doesn't sound natural. It doesn't sound like, you know, you're really into it. You're really with the music. When I took time and kind of was like, let me learn this first. Let me learn how I can adjust my voice to make it sound better for this track, or how I can change my flow at this certain time, or learn this certain aspect of music making to really get the sound where I wanted it to be. Because a lot of times, songs keep making songs with them not really having any kind of like cohesive nature to them. So for me, it was just taking time and learning, spend time with the lyrics, trying to figure where your breaths make the most sense to be and stuff like that. All the little small things that I learned throughout time.
Yeah, as someone who does a lot of their own stuff for music, I can definitely relate to that.
Mhm.
Yeah, rushing is not like even though you might be getting stuff out really quickly, you might not be satisfied with it after you look back on it.
Yes.
So definitely important. Well, thank you so much for your time. Definitely wish you the best with the album drop.
Thank you.
Listeners, you know where to find it. Chicago and by J Ultimate is out now. And we're going to close this segment with a song picked by J Ultimate himself. Here's Run by Sultan the Giant. Enjoy.